I talk often on my videos about resting in Jesus because as Hebrews 4 tells us that if we're not resting in him, we're not trusting him. We're living in unbelief. And resting is simply just resting in what he did on the cross for us, resting in his love for us, just resting in who we are to him, resting in his love. Waiting on the Lord. Waiting on the Lord is a huge part of resting in Jesus. Waiting on the Lord is resting in him. It's trusting him to come through for you. It's knowing he's fighting this battle for you. It's trusting him to work all things together for good. You will find, as I have, one of the hardest part of walking with God is waiting on him. Wait, the Bible says, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. The world will tell us, don't just stand there, do something. But God tells us, stand and don't do something. Waiting on the Lord will stretch and strengthen your faith muscles. A part of waiting on the Lord is not to go ahead of him. The Bible says 1,000 years is like a day to the Lord. He is outside of time. Remember that. He's in the spiritual realm where there is no time. We live where there is time. I like to say we are actually doing our time here on earth, right? You will often think he's too slow, but no matter how much you are tempted, don't go ahead of him, right? Do not do what Abraham did and birth an Ishmael. You know, God says that to me often. Don't go ahead of me. Don't birth an Ishmael. Wait for the promised Isaac. Because if you make something happen in your own effort, you're going to have to use your own effort to keep it because it wasn't God's plan. So wait on God's plan for you. Wait on the Lord to give you the desires that he has put in your heart. Wait on him to change you into his image. This right here is probably the hardest wait of all. If it were up to you, you would want to change yourself overnight. But I'm telling you here, don't do it. You will only be opening or operating in the flesh. You wait on the Lord and you'll be of good courage, the Bible says, and he will strengthen your heart. It does get easier as you start seeing his faithfulness. And when your answer comes from the Lord, he will get all the glory. When your answer comes from the Lord, it is here to stay. When your answer comes from the Lord, you will never forget it. When your answer comes from the Lord, you will fall in love with him all over again. In this world of instant gratification, right? Waiting has actually become a curse, but waiting is a part of God's plan. Wait on the Lord so you will learn to trust him and only him. He asks you to wait because he's fighting the battle for you. He asks you to wait because while you are waiting, he is teaching you what you need to know before he can give you what he promised you. He asks you to wait because he has a plan. He always has a plan. So wait on the Lord, be of good courage. That's a part of resting in him.